how did you all come across Richard? And then how did you decide you want to be involved in such a story? Just this massive thing that you broke open.
So in addition to being filmmakers, we're also educators. And this is something that I kind of have picked up as a result of it being a part of Patrick's DNA. So as a result of, Patrick doesn't just want to tell incredible stories. He wants to affect the world in the largest means possible. And at scale, that means that we need more and more and more better storytellers. And he also knows that so many people want to tell a story and they just don't know exactly how. And so as a result of that, in tandem with all of his filmmaking, he's always done filmmaking education. He's always helped other people become better at this craft. And so as a result of that, then our circle of other filmmakers that we come into contact with is rich. We have a Rolodex of filmmakers that we can reach out to in like, for sure, every continent in the world, and more likely more than 2/3 of every country in the world. We have someone who's, we've spoken to through education, or they've reached out to us and we've poured back into them in some significant way. So as a part of that, then we're always getting communications from this community saying, hey, I've got a powerful story. I think that you guys should be the ones to go tell that story, right? So the inbox is flooded. It's full of opportunities to tell incredible stories, for which we're entirely grateful. But it is a lot like mining for gold. It means that, for every 1,000 different stories that we hear that should be, remarkable, in truth, they just don't rise to that level of investment, right? In terms of time, energy, length, and all of those kinds of things. And the origin story of this documentary is very much like that, where, someone who we share friendship with and passion in the filmmaking space, who was also aware of, Richard, his projects, and the Hexagon community, said, hey guys, you guys need to go take a look at this. And we just kept kind of, poo-pooing it. We just kept saying, yeah, whatever, man, whatever. And then it's like, here, like, check this link out or whatever. We check out the link and it's, Origin Richard, right? YouTube Origin Richard. He's standing in front of the red velvet backdrop. He's got the top hat on, he's talking about how to give a better apology, like that kind of stuff or whatever. And you're just like, no, hard pass, right? Like, we're just not
magician, hard pass on the magician.
Yeah. Like, right. Like it was a lot, man. You know what I mean? Or whatever. And not in a great way, originally. But then, this friend just kind of kept saying, hey, you really need to take a look at this. Like, these things are developing. Like, it would be wild for you to understand what's happening. I think that I can just retire my grandmother. Like, these kinds of conversations or whatever. And so it was like, all right, fine, we'll take a call. And, so Patrick and I were both on vacation at the time. We both agreed to take the call, looked for the link, discovered that we had to download an encrypted communication app in order to even have this conversation. Jumped on this conversation with Richard. Richard had no idea who the hell we were. Not exactly sure how, Richard agreed to this discovery call in the first place. We knew very little about Richard, but it was worth saying all right, speed dating. Is there a thing here? And at the end of that call, man, our heads were spinning. We didn't understand Richard or the space, but we understood one thing to be absolutely clear, and that this guy was a character. And if story and what, great with the components of great story, much like the recipe of a cake, you're not going to have a cake without, flour. And, and so in terms of it being the foundation of an incredible story, Richard was that. And so then it was like, yes, let's agree to spend a little bit more time to find out what this story is. So we said, we'll come visit with you in person for 3 days. Send us your address and we'll show up at your house and let's go from there. And he's like, hold on, donkey. I don't give away my address. In fact, I don't let anybody in the world know where I live. But I'll meet you somewhere. If he threw a dart at dartboard or how he came to it, but he said, let's meet in Tallinn, Estonia. And so we did. We spent 3 days getting to know him, doing a baseline interview, having conversation around, is there a there? And at the end of that experience, it was like, yeah, I think that this is something that we'd be willing to invest, years of our life into creating. the story of this token, its founder and its community. And so that's how we came to even creating the highest of stakes.
Yeah, I could imagine that Richard was trying to probably fill you all out, and a lot of people contact him as, are you, a good actor, bad actor? Are you trying to tell a story, or are you trying to, get dirt on me, that sort of thing? And I can just imagine the interaction between you two or you three, and just even meeting, even the and just to be a fly on the wall or a fly at the cafe that you are meeting at, just to hear that conversation would be amazing. Just that feeling each other out, and then becoming
definitely.
this.
Definitely a feeling out, for sure. I had flown separately because, I don't live in the same area that the studio is in. And so I commute to Story. I often travel alone and land at destination. I had travel complications. So the rest of the team had already been with Richard for a short period of time. And through all of the international delays or whatever, I'm schlepping my luggage with me to the cafe when I meet him. I hadn't even had the luxury of checking into the hotel yet, so there I am, like cobblestone streets or whatever, show up to the cafe, like, in desperate need of a shower and a little bit jet lagged or whatever. And it's like, Patrick introduces me, hey, Richard, Grant's made it, right? Or whatever. And he's like, hey, and that was like it. And it was like, oh, okay. Well,
wow.
Are we a little distracted? What's going on here? Whatever. Now
I thought it'd be like, hey, I'm Richard Hart. What's up?
Yeah,
and
the relationship has grown, right? Since then, right? Unquestionably. But I think you can understand where someone in his position is guarded, and isn't going to immediately be vulnerable and let people in and that kind of a thing or whatever. So, those first couple of days were a bit of emotional sparring around, like, hey, what's your intention? What's your qualifications? How intelligent are you? Are you going to be able to keep pace in this space? All of those kinds of things, for sure. I know that he was, and likewise, we were, sparring back with, is there a story? What kind of access can you assure us and demonstrate? Like, what kind of a delta? Is there any change that we can expect from you or from this token or this community? And, so there are a lot of those kinds of things that we definitely had to feel one another out on.
Yeah, it's one of those things too, where I imagine that he is, so at the time, so when did this happen? What time frame? When did you all first meet?
I think so. I know that we felt like we were all-time highs at 23 cents ish, give or take. So this would have been like August 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, it's 23 cents now if you have the PHEX and EHEX, but yeah, it was around 50 cents was all-time highs.
No. We were there when it was an all-time high of 23.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So not 23 on the way down, 23 on the way up. Right. So like they were excited because it was still making all-time highs. And it had, it was in that vicinity, 17, 18, 19 up to 23, and then bounced to like 27, then back down to 20, then back up. Right. So it was in that time frame.
That's the time to